How do you go slow and pace yourself when you're dating someone you really like, so that you don't push them away when you open up, and so that you can be your authentic self and know that the connection is evolving organically in a healthy way? Pacing is a real art in dating. It's like a dance between two people, and we need to be able to manage our own insecurity and anxiety and vulnerability and any kind of attachment wounding that comes up while we're dating them. In this lesson, I'll show you the 5 stages of dating that you need to go through so that you know you're pacing yourself in a healthy way, so that you're not missing any red flags and potentially pursuing things with the wrong person. And stick around to the end of the lesson, because I'm going to debunk some pretty common advice here on YouTube that if you use it, you will potentially be pushing healthy partners away. If you're new to this channel, welcome. My name is Amy, and I work with women who struggle with insecurity and anxiety in their dating and relationship life. And I work with them to develop a healthy, secure sense of self and self-love so that they can go out and date and create a relationship that they truly deserve. And if you want more content on this topic, please subscribe to my channel, click the bell button so you get the notification when I post new lessons like this every week. Now, before we get started today, I want to let you know that a few places have opened up on my calendar for the free strategy session with me and my team for the Love by Design program. If you want to know more about how to apply for that, please stick around to the end of the lesson because I'll show you then. Now, if you have a tendency to rush dating and you've never really paced dating, or you've never dated before, you've just kind of always gone straight into a relationship, there are 2 important dynamics we're going to unpack quickly before I get to the stages that you need to be aware of. And once you're aware of these dynamics and they exist within you, they're going to change the game for you. So the first dynamic is this concept of attachment safety. We rush into relationship and skip healthy dating because we can't be single. And the reason we can't be single is because at a deeper level, we don't feel safe within our body. Now, as human beings, we are programmed for attachment, and even in the healthy stages of dating and going into a relationship, it can be a pretty bumpy ride. It's a vulnerable time for the 2 of you. So I need you to be aware of your own attachment needs and your own need to feel safe within your body. So become aware of the concept of self-soothing. Anxiety in the dating stages is natural and normal for every single person. And the more you can learn how to soothe your body and get back into your body when you're getting whisked away in the excitement of the dating experience, the better. So daily exercises like meditation and fitness and being able to really calm and center yourself, having a warm bath, whatever it might be that you need to get back into your body and feel grounded. The other dynamic is something that isn't really talked about a lot anywhere else, but it is transformative to your dating and relationship life, and it's called push-pull. Finding a balance of push-pull regardless of where you're at in the dating or relationship stages, and knowing how push-pull affects you internally is absolutely mind-blowing. It has been for me, at least. So this is an energetic principle where when you push, that's when you're initiating, when you're messaging, when you're arranging dates, when you're reaching out to that person. And when you pull back, that's when you're providing a space for that other person to step in. Pulling back internally is looking like you going back into your day-to-day life, getting back into your work, getting focused in all the areas of your life that make you feel grounded in who you are. So often when we're dating, if we have a bit of anxious attachment, we tend to live in the push zone. And when we live in the push zone, we don't get a chance to effectively discern how the other person's showing up, because there literally isn't any energetic space for them to show up at all. So throughout this lesson, I'm going to give you some lessons around how to balance push-pull externally and internally as well. So internally is knowing when you're intentionally reaching out and pushing to create and initiate a connection with someone, and internally pulling back and feeling centered and grounded and secure in who you are. That's going to feed back into the previous attachment safety piece. So being able to be aware of whether you're pushing or pulling internally is really essential. So stage one actually happens before you even begin dating, before you go out on a date, before you contact anyone, pre-dating. The first thing you need to do is get really clear on what your purpose is, because you don't always have to date for a committed relationship. You might be wanting to date for a casual connection with someone, or friendship, or just to widen your circle. People are out there dating for many different reasons. So be realistic where you're at. Is it the right time in your life to look at going into a committed relationship? Or have you just come out of a 4-year relationship that you really need time to heal and process before you start looking for that partner? You need to also set a realistic timeline for your expectations around dating. Particularly if you're choosing online dating, sometimes we go in with unrealistic expectations that we're going to meet someone straight away. And that's really going to work against us, because effective discernment takes time, and it is a bit of a strategic thing as well. We need to get used to being online, being on those platforms and going through the dating process and practicing discernment. So obviously you want to decide on your strategy, whether you are going to dive into online dating or whether you're going to rely on the connections that you're meeting in person, if that's available to you. And once you're really clear on your purpose, it's going to come through more clearly when you do start connecting to people, because communication and being on the same page is so important early on. The second thing you need to do is to identify what your ideal partner traits are. And look, I want you to go to town here, because there's no reason to hold back or base it off of your past experiences, or potentially base it off on limiting beliefs around what you're worthy of. I really want you to dive into what your values are. Identify 3 to 5 essential core values that you live your life to, that are really important for you and are really important for you to share with your partner. The second thing you need to do is to identify some, non-negotiable absolute no's. Like, as soon as they're present, whether it's, smoking or drinking or whatever it might be for you, but as soon as that's present, that's an absolute no for you. Regardless of what else that person's bringing to the table, it's an absolute no. And the third thing you need to do is identify some preferences around what you would like in a partner, but they're not essential. So if they don't exist in that person, it's not a deal breaker. It's still cool if they've got those core values there. Getting clear on those different things is important, because so often we can mistake preferences for core values. And if this person meets all of our preferences and might be missing a few core values and might have a non-negotiable red flag, we get so excited that our preferences are met. And we can end up down the line 6 or 12 months down in hot water, because that person is really not showing up for us in a way that we need them to. And if you struggle on knowing what to look for in a partner and what green flags actually look like, I want you to watch this video next. The third thing you're going to do before you even begin dating is to prepare what I call runway. Now, runway is very similar to the work of the book Calling in the One. This is where you're creating energetic space for a partner to come into your life. So physically, that might look like creating space for them in your bedroom, having a nice bedside table and lamp for them, and space in your wardrobe or a toothbrush holder, whatever that looks like. But also energetically, you want to start grounding your life in the way you want it to be, regardless of whether you're in a relationship or not. So the life that you live currently is the life that you will continue to live when your relationship happens, whenever that happens for you. So what that does is it creates emotional space for you, and it allows you to ground yourself in the life that works for you at the moment. So when you do begin to call someone in and you start dating and maybe move into a relationship with them, your life and the runway that you've created needs to remain largely the same at the beginning. And then as you move through the stages of relationship, then you build your life together. But so often when we start dating and we meet someone, we just completely forget about the life that we had. We stop seeing our friends, stop doing all the things that we love to do, and we self-abandon ourselves and our lives to be with that person. So having a solid runway and a life that you're living now that won't change very much in the first 12 months of dating is so important. The second stage is where you actually start meeting people, right? So if you're on an app, you might be connecting with people and you'll be in the early stages of messaging with them. And this is really a time to get clear on what you're looking for. You might want to make it really clear on your profile, and then you might want to reinforce that when you're messaging with people as well. And, just let them know something like, hey, I just want to let you know I'm dating platonically for a committed relationship. That's why I'm here. I'm not in any hurry, but I thought you should know. And secondly, you need to make sure that you're setting boundaries for yourself, setting boundaries around your availability for communication and your time availability as well. So if you are dating online, I really recommend setting a boundary of spending 20 minutes a day maximum doing any kind of messaging or swiping or whatever you're doing on the app, because any more than that, you'll start to use the app in an unhealthy way. You'll start to feed this sense of, is the next person there around the corner, right? You need to be in control of it. It's there for you. And you want to contact many people, right? You want to cast the net as wide as possible, but you want to be chatting in and continuing connection with just a few people, right? We've got high standards. We know what we're looking for in a partner from stage one. And yes, that does narrow down what is available to you in terms of potential connection out there. But contact as many people in the start. And once you start to message people, I want you to make sure you are video chatting with them and meeting them face to face in this stage within the first couple of weeks. If you continue to chat for more than 3 or 4 weeks and you've started or tried to instigate meeting face to face or video to video, there might be some red flags there around potential catfishing. I know there are a lot of disingenuous people out there as well. So protect yourself and make sure that you do meet face to face or Zoom to Zoom with a person in stage 2 within a couple of weeks. And what you're doing in this time is you're really discerning them based on the way they show up on the platform or on the date, right? According to your ideal traits that you've established already. So if one of your traits, one of your core values is respectfulness, are they showing up in a way that shows respect to you? Are they putting in time and effort in their communication? It's not too soon to start really being very, very selective around who you choose. Once you've connected with 2 or 3 people in this stage, I want you to just put a pause on swiping. Excessive swiping can be really damaging for our mental health, and it can also detract from the time that we put into connecting with these potential matches. Now, during this time, there is going to be a bit of push-pull going on, and I want you to ensure that there is a balance where you're being proactive, but not all the time you're pulling back and giving them space to be proactive as well. Whether that looks like the frequency of communication or who instigates the communication or who sets up the date or suggests the date, you want to make sure that you're not in push mode, that you are pulling back a little bit so that you can see the effort that they're putting in as well. Now, if you're getting too much push from them, as in, they might be love bombing you, they might be coming on really fast and strong, there is a tendency for our ego to get really happy around that. Who doesn't want to be, seen as someone desirable by another person? But it's got absolutely no reflection on you because they don't know you at all. They don't know you from a grain of salt. And what's actually going on is that there's an imbalance in them and there is a potential that they might have some red flag behavior down the line. And at this time, I want you to notice internally your push-pull as well. Who are you being drawn to and why? Why are you swiping right and left on certain people? Get really curious on your internal world here. And here's a bit of a hint for you. Look at the people you've tended to date in your past. Look at the values that your exes had. And if you look at the patterns that you've had with partners and with relationships that have led to unhealthy or even toxic behavior, I want you to get really smart on yourself because that is subconscious behavior that's going to play out again. You can be sure of it. So get really curious as to why you're swiping left and right or why you're approaching people and why you're not. Now, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. What pulls you off balance in this stage? What really draws you in and what makes you want to rush into a relationship with someone too soon? And is this advice helping you? I'd love to hear from you. Now, stage 3 is when you move into deeper inquiry with 1 or 2 people. This is where you've seen clear evidence that they have the potential to meet those ideal core values and preferences, and that there are no of those non-negotiable red flags there. But you still don't know them at all, so you're going to get to know them more deeply. And you've definitely met with them, at least had a video chat with them before you move into stage 3. And you've chosen, 1 or 2 people to go down this route. Now, while you move into stage 3 with these people, I want you to give yourself a fighting chance and quit with the swiping, stop stage 1, stop stage 2, because that is just a distraction, right? There is a reason why, you've gotten to this stage with these people, and I want you to give it, all of your time and energy, because you've only got a certain amount of time and energy, right? Because you've got your whole life going on as well. Now, this is a time when you're going to be dating casually, platonic dating with friendship as the core value here. And you want to have a wide variety of experiences with this person, see what they're like in a variety of contexts. And you might find that this stage goes for maybe a month or 2 months, but you're really just exploring friendship at this point. And in terms of push-pull, this is a time when we're going to want to really get into relationship too soon if we really like them. And if that's something that you do, I want you to watch this video next. Now, be aware that if there's physical attraction, your body might be wanting to override the natural progression of an organic friendship and intimacy that forms, because you'll be wanting to get physical with them, right? And there's also that attachment safety piece. You're wanting to pursue the connection and kind of lock it down so that you feel safe in the container. So a lot of self-soothing and grounding practices, and making sure that you're really in your life, you're working on your runway, and you don't know this person really at all. You don't know whether they're going to fulfill that role of that important person in your life yet. So allow for the push to happen, allow for your emotions to happen if you start to catch them. But you don't need to start professing your love. You don't need to start outwardly showing that. You need to balance that out with an internal pullback, which looks like you staying grounded in your body and staying safe and working on your own runway and giving them space to push into you as well. It's kind of like a bottle that's building up with a whole lot of pressure, right? You might be feeling these emotions and feelings for them, but you kind of want to release the pressure a little bit by little bit, and you want to make sure that they're also showing up and showing you how they're feeling in little ways as well. So it's this real dance between the two of you. And this is the most important time to dive into internal inquiry. This is when we tend to self-abandon and override ourselves the most when we choose a partner. So we've possibly lacked discernment in our previous partner choices and relationships. So this is the time to get really curious on what's going on internally. So if previously you've rushed through the dating experience and just gone straight into relationship, and you've self-abandoned in that process, you've been in fight-flight. You've had that reaction of, I don't feel safe, I need to get in relationship with this person because I love them now, right? You don't know if you love them because you haven't had the time to develop and grow healthy intimacy. So we actually need to create a space to start to listen to our internal self, our heart, and how it feels. And if that's a pattern of yours, when you do start feeling safe in your body and you start to really listen to your deepest self, your inner child, whatever you want to call it, you might notice that there's a bit of numbness and a bit of quietness there, because that attachment mechanism has been overriding it for so long. So there might be some feelings of abandonment and feelings of vulnerability there, and they're uncomfortable in the body. So I want you to know that if you're connecting intimately with someone in this stage of dating and you're starting to feel uncomfortable, you are having a healthy connection with yourself, because this is an unsafe practice, opening yourself up to feelings and potential connection with someone that you hardly know at all. So tap into the body, practice that self-soothing I talked about, and start to ask yourself, how safe do you feel around that person? When you're doing various things, do you feel protected by them? Do you feel provided for by them? And these are programs in the masculine if you're a feminine wanting that masculine connection regardless of gender. And ask that deepest part of yourself. Do you feel that friendship piece is in place? Now, stage 4 is an interesting stage. This is before relationship, but you are still dating this person. You might have been dating them for a month or two and things are going really well. And you've gotten to that point where you just don't feel safe enough with them, knowing that there might be other people in the picture, right? You really need that exclusivity piece to be in place. Now, if you are practicing, polyamory, this isn't obviously relevant for you. So this is for you if you want a monogamous committed relationship in the future. And this might happen between 6 to 8 weeks after you've begun dating them. But you are opening up to exclusivity with them, but you're not moving into relationship. So you're communicating that you want exclusivity with them because things are going really well, but exclusivity is going to give you the space to still be dating them, to still have that friendship value as the kind of core purpose, without the excessive container of the relationship and what that brings to it, right? Without the pressure, if you want to call it that. So communicate to them that this is what you want, and communicate this is what can change, or what I would like to change, or things maybe won't change much at all from a stage 3. You might choose to start getting physically intimate with them. You might increase your frequency of seeing each other. You might start seeing friends, or you might even introduce them to your family, just so that your family can also, screen them, as it were. But if exclusivity is one of your core values and you want to be monogamous, approaching them for this before the relationship begins is essential, because it will let them know and let you know where they're at to make sure that you're both on the same page. So then moving into relationship again is a very gradual process, and not a lot will change perhaps for you from stage 4 to stage 5, but there are some things that you need to open up to and communicate with your new partner around this step into relationship. Let them know what your needs are in relationship, what it is what you need met from them now that it wasn't relevant to have met in the dating stage. And it's also a great time at the beginning of a relationship to bring up any concerns that you're having, particularly around how your relationship together as it now stands and how they are as a partner matches your ideal partner map and ideal relationship map and the values and preferences that you have. A reasonable thing to expect moving into a relationship is that there's going to be more time that you'll spend together, and you'll be more available to each other, and that you'll have more energy for each other as well, because you will be wanting to put that into the relationship. And some people decide to do a relationship contract at this time. I don't think it's particularly necessary in the early relationship stages, but certainly getting very, very clear on things and knowing that even though you're communicating what your needs are and whatever it is that moving into a relationship is important to you, that can change on a needs by needs basis, because this is a relationship between two dynamic individuals that are, chances are, very different, right? So we need to be open to that flexibility as well. So next, you're going to get really clear on your core values, and this might be a great time to open up to them what your core values that you had that they match right from stage 1, and ask them what theirs are. What have they seen in you that they really appreciate? And then you start to decide what your core values, based on those two things, what they will be in your relationship together, what you will intentionally practice as a couple in your day-to-day relationship. It's great here also to acknowledge your differences if you haven't been already, because similarities will draw you together and differences are going to keep things really interesting and exciting. All right, so differences really bring out polarity between two people, and the more you practice communicating them in a healthy, safe way before you get to the power struggle stage in a relationship. And if you want to know more about that stage, I want you to watch this video next. The more you'll be able to communicate those differences without any charge of conflict in them, right? So they've become normalized, they've become safe. Lastly, I want you to look at some goals that you might have together as a couple, because in coming into the relationship container together, you've started to create momentum. And when we create momentum, we want to know where we are going, right? And this is a bit of a masculine practice, but I think it's really valid for the feminine as well to be on board with this. So just open up to each other. What does your life look like, ideally, for you together as a couple and as an individual in the next 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 20 years? Just share your goals, share your dreams, and know what in that context is super important to you and what you're flexible on. Again, this is the same process as in stage 1. Know what your absolute needs are and know what your preferences are, because when you come together in relationship with another person and you start building a life together, there is a certain amount of compromise there, and knowing internally what you're flexible on and what you cannot be flexible on, because that's a core value, is super important to discern within yourself. And lastly, a really good goal to set together at this stage is to know what you want to work on together in order to strengthen the relationship. Now, you might be thinking at the start that, why do we need to strengthen the relationship right now? We've just begun, it's great. You're in the honeymoon stage, I know. But there are going to be some areas where you'll be missing each other, where communication won't be on point. And it's best to get started on doing this work now while you both see each other in this more positive light. You've got chemicals on your side before you hit the power struggle stage and conflict starts to play out. I want you to start practicing the daily or weekly discipline of looking at the relationship from a bird's eye view with your partner and saying, we could have done that a little bit better. Maybe I can do this more, maybe they offer something, and start working on the relationship together from an early stage. Now, I've talked a lot about this concept of push-pull internally, and I want you to be aware that there is a lot of dating advice out there on YouTube that really shows you how to get someone back, how to, get them to love you, how to do these things. And this is all, of course, us being in push mode. Now, I'm all for being proactive. I'm all for healthy, intentional pursuit of someone that is right for us. But the problem with being in push mode all the time is that we don't effectively get a chance to see whether that person is interested as well. Now, if you're pursuing someone to try and get them back and they've already rejected you, that person by definition is not healthy for you, because you are worthy of so much more than that. I could obviously rant about this for hours, but I would just want you to know that any kind of scripts, any kind of tools around getting someone back that doesn't teach this healthy push-pull and, advocating for what you truly deserve and what you are worthy of is an unhealthy pattern to get into. Chasing love is not a healthy practice, and you are worthy of so much more than doing that. So in this video, I've really shown you how to go about dating in order to, maintain this push-pull balance within yourself. But there is so much more work to be fleshed out and done if you want to be feeling truly secure within yourself, if you have a history of insecurity and anxious attachment. So if that's you, I want you to know that I have a great free training on the 3 steps to secure love. You can join me in that training in the link below. And if you want to have more contact with me, I have a free Facebook group. You can join me in the link below as well. And if you wanted to submit your application for the one-to-one call with me and the team, click the application link below and find a time on my calendar. Now, if you found this video helpful today, please click the like button, because it's going to help this channel out a lot. And here are some next step videos for you to watch so that you can move one step closer to an incredible relationship with yourself and your partner. And for now, I'll see you in the next video.